Alrighty, what is going on everybody, and welcome back to another brief Solana update. Well, in today's video, I want to give you a quick update on what is going on with its price because I do believe this could be Solana's last chance before we do see a pullback of anywhere between 10 to 20% to the downside, and obviously I want you all to be as prepared as possible for that. So with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. Now, before we do get into Solana, guys, make sure you do use the link down below in the description. You can get up to $8,000 simply by depositing money on BitGet and getting to trading with their platform. It is by far the best campaign that I've ever run on this channel. It is something that I think is extremely beneficial to you guys, so go take advantage of it. Don't miss out on what could be up to $8,000 completely for free in your account. So make sure you do use the link down below and get all the information on exactly how you can get access to it. But with that said, when it comes to Solana, let's talk about what happens now. So in the last video, what I told you all was that we were at a pretty big risk at this given point of continuing downwards in this descending wedge that Solana has been forming. I told you all that you needed to watch very closely what happened here at $22.88 to $22.89 because the likelihood is we would try to build some type of support here and continue upwards, but if we fail to build support, we're likely continuing down into this descending channel, and even from this point forward, that could be a fall of anywhere from 10 to about 10 to 15% here, okay? Now, at this given point, it does seem as if we could be establishing some type of support. I'm not going to say it's completely off the table, which is why I said this is Solana's last chance. But what you have to see here is that there is a massive risk that if this does not hold, we could see that continued fall to the downside. I mean, you have to pay attention to the fact that our daily chart prime oscillator is not at that full point of reset yet, and it does seem to be fully on track to get that full reset, which generally does look like the price continuing downwards. But as I mentioned before, there is still a chance that we do get this upward move here, so let's talk about what that looks like. Now, the biggest thing that tells me that there is a chance here is what's happening on our shorter time frames. Look at our 4-hour chart prime oscillator. What you can see on this thing is that we have been establishing a pretty strong layer of oversold readings and green reversal triangles with a little bit of bullish divergence back here, which did make this a very strong level of support to begin with. Now, although it is not there anymore, which could entail that some type of continuation to the downside can happen, it is still around this general area. And so because of that, if the price is going to be able to maintain this $22.80 level on this short term, on the shorter time frames, what I would then need to see is it do two things. First and foremost, break from below this key level of descending resistance, and then lastly, I would need to see it get above $25.25. If it's capable of doing that, I would say that it's then in a position to really continue back upwards and rally towards possibly $30, and that would be a fantastic time to go long. But I would not be buying anywhere below currently this key level of resistance right here, because even if it does break out, it easily could still get rejected there, forced back to the downside with a fake out, and then we're in a world of trouble. Okay, so those are the two steps that I would need to see it complete before I would truly be confident that this move is actually going to happen to the upside. But again, although where we're at right now, that doesn't seem the most likely. So what seems the most likely to me, at least, is that we will get this further continuation to the downside and probably lose this key level of support. So now let's talk about what does that look like and where do I expect that the price could be going from here. Well, I am under the belief that eventually, obviously, Solana is going to break to the upside from this descending channel, okay? I do believe that is the case. The issue is that I think it's going to take a full reset on this daily chart prime oscillator before that does really happen. Even if it breaks out, I do believe it will just continue downwards until we get this full reset on this daily chart prime oscillator, just like it's done historically on many other occasions before it's ever made the macro move to the upside, as you can see. So with that in mind, considering the fact that we're not really all too close to that full reset yet, my guess is that we could have another drive to the downside around somewhere around these key new levels of liquidity once this one is lost. Now, looking at just this general price structure that we had back here, my guess, which is all this is that if we were to lose $22.76, that we would see its price come back down to this next key level of liquidity as established by this support, this resistance, all the support that's been established back here, and all the support that's been established back here, around $20.50. That is where I would assume, if the price is capable of coming down to, that we would then be able to see the full reset on the daily chart prime oscillator. We would see the full pull to the downside and an overextension into the bottom side of our Bollinger Bands. And at that given point, I would be confident to say, okay, we're probably going to start trying to find some support here. Whether that looks like this or whether that looks something like this right before it happens. I do believe that this is around the key area that I would be expecting to see Solana's price come back down to under the circumstances at 22.76 76 is lost. And at that given point, that would be a fall of roughly 10.4%, which is a pretty gnarly fall at this given point. Okay, so with that in mind, that is kind of what I am preparing for. Now, obviously, the bigger picture here and the bigger thing here is that we are still kind of on trajectory to possibly come back down as low as $17 to $18 to the downside. Now, what does that journey look like? I don't know. Maybe it looks something like this, right? And a huge A, B, C correction to the downside to retest this Fibonacci retracement level and this ascending level of support. I don't know. I just know that this is still the biggest risk that Solana has right now. And so the further we go down in this descending channel, the more likely it becomes that we do get this ABC correction to the downside. And that's why I'm being so wary of it and so cautious of it, so I can prepare for it in advance. So at this given point, watch very closely what does happen at $22.76, because moving from that point, I do believe we could be again in a position in which we see Solana's price do really get a strong drive of 10 to 15% to the downside before looking to make that breakout to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm watching with Solana right here. The majority of the top alts aren't really doing all that much. Obviously, your XRPs, your Matics, your ADAs, they're all just kind of slowly trekking to the downside. I mean, even Ethereum is just kind of gradually falling to the downside. So I've not really been doing too much there. I've really just been sitting back and watching. I have been doing a little bit of trading in our altcoins or our micro caps recently. The only one that I have bought recently was a little bit of Z3, and that was just because of what is happening with that proposal that just passed recently. You guys know I've covered Z3 a ton on this channel just because I do support them. I think that they have a lot of potential. And of course, I bought a little bit back here. The price has gone up about 20 to 24%, which has been really nice, obviously, especially in a market where most of your majors aren't making much money. So that was a nice little boost there. Now, the reason why its price has jumped up quite a bit, and I believe it could very easily continue to jump up a bit, is because of this recent proposal, which allowed for an expedited rebase system. Now, as many of you know, Z3 is a pretty interesting tokenomic structure, and basically the gist of it is that their total supply continuously grows until it hits their hard cap, and then once it hits a hard cap, it of course stops growing, and then they are no longer inflationary. Now, the reason they did this was to allow holders that bought the token earlier on to continue to get more and more tokens sent to their wallet, and of course, if the price is doing well, that could be a very strong compounding effect to allow the holders, especially the earlier holders, to get a ton of tokens and a load of growth just for holding the token. It's kind of like an auto mining, auto staking feature. But what they realized is that it did cause complications. As you can see here, it was kind of giving them issues in terms of exchanges and things of that nature, or just being able to track the token supply itself. All of these things were giving them issues, and so what they decided to do was to expedite this rebase system. They decided that this was going to be a 60-day thing, a 60 days from inflation, and what this allows them to do is increase the APY dramatically. I mean, the amount of tokens my own wallet is getting is insane, and this does simply just allow them to get through this inflationary period much faster, so they can kind of move on from that point forward and start getting more utility added to the token. So I did think this was interesting. I think it's the right move, honestly. And so because of that, many people did agree. And that's why its price has jumped up a nice little 20 to 25%. I think it could continue upward. So I am probably going to buy a little bit more, but I just wanted to update you there because that's really the only micro cap crypto that I am buying at this given point. But the majority of what I am doing right now is just waiting for our major alts to make their move. And that's what I'm looking for here from Solana very soon. And so with that in mind, just watch out very, very, very closely to what happens at this key level of support. You don't want to get caught off guard by a 10% correction to the downside. So as it does play out, whether it does break to the upside or whether it does play out to the downside, I'm going to update you guys because my goal on this channel is to not be right, but is to be prepared for any outcome. And so with that in mind, make sure you do subscribe if you did enjoy. Make sure that you do go take advantage of getting up to $8,000 completely for free with the link down below. And I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.